This is the Echelon Compact. And even though I've had it for a while, I figured I was going to wait until I got about close to 1,000 rounds before doing the initial video and review. Even though I've got a few full-size Echelon pistols, and I actually like them quite a bit, I've had zero issues, and they seem to be doing quite well on the market, I figured I would just wait and see if anything would come out in there in the market. And I did find one thing that kind of bugs me that I think needs to be fixed. And no, it's not the fact that you can over-insert a full-size magazine into a compact slide, because that's really nothing new. All right, so the Echelon Compact, the new one from Springfield Armory. I've had this one in a little bit, and we're gonna start right off talking about, did I have any problems? Is there anything I noticed that should be a little bit better, something that should be fixed, right? Because I think you guys like the dirty talk a little bit earlier on in the video. It just seems to loosen things up in all the right ways. Now, when it comes to the Echelon Compact, there is a known issue that if you take a full-size magazine from your Echelon and you ram that thing right up in there, you can't over-insert it, which will lock the slide. So that's actually nothing new. There's several other pistols in the market that can happen to, and it has to do with the fact that there needs to be some form of over-travel stop, like a sleeve on the magazine that's extended, because it does come with an extended mag that has a sleeve on it, or you have to have some internal mechanism to keep the mag from going all the way up in there. So not the best thing, but again, that's really nothing new. I did use full-size mags out there, and as long as you don't mash them in there, they ran just fine. So that's kind of like a training thing. You can use those full-size mags until there's like a sleeve. But the thing I did notice has to do with the big gaper inside the pistol grip. So when you go to insert a magazine, you can catch right there, there's just a square hole in here that I will put in some footage of. You can see it's kind of a little bit deformed because the edge of the magazine on the backside will catch that. And once you catch that, there's no getting that magazine in there. It's pretty much stuck. You kind of have to pull out and go back in. And even there, I caught it again. So if you get stuck, pull out, go back in. I think most of you guys are probably down with that anyways. So that is the one thing that I did notice here that I personally think needs to be fixed, because if you're doing speed reloads or something out there, it can be a hang-up. And I fell victim to that because as I was working this gun out there, I was wondering why my reloads weren't kind of normally what they are when it comes to the Echelon, because I really like these things and I run them pretty well. That was why. I looked in there, I was like, well, that hole probably shouldn't be there. It just seems like something that probably shouldn't exist. Now, otherwise, functionally, the pistol was 100% out of the range. I've got around the 750 mark on this thing. I didn't get to 1,000. But I figured I'd go ahead and get the video out since I have like, I think 3 other Echelons and I've tested at least one more. Several of my friends have them and none of them have experienced any issues that would give me concern at this time. So functionality wise, whether it was 124 grain NATO, just ball stuff, 115, self-defense ammunition, all of it ran reliably. It felt good on the range. There is some really good stuff when it comes to the Echelon pistol and the overall design. And there are some things that maybe you may not like, and we'll talk about both of those. And if you like those real reviews where you get the information you want about things you may be interested in, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, or maybe something that could just make it a little bit better if there was a small change in it, subscribe to the channel because nobody gets a free pass here. And before we get into the good stuff and the range performance and what I thought about the Echelon Compact, if you've never been on the channel before, there will be a build list linked down below. It'll be the first link in the description in case you're interested in anything we're talking about or you see here today, so you can do all of your own research. And if you're cultured enough to be watching this in your employer's break room, casting it to the TV so everybody gets to watch it, I'll put a QR code up here for you guys and you can scroll through as you watch the video. And a big shout to Brownells. They've been my go-to since like 07 when I placed my first order, long before I was ever on YouTube. But they're a huge structure of support here in the industry as a whole, so they're pretty much always going to have my support as well. Now, if you don't know, what exactly is the Echelon pistol from Springfield Armory? Well, it's actually made by HS Product and it is imported by Springfield Armory. It is a striker-fired 9mm pistol and it's based off of a chassis system which they name the COG, or the Central Operating Group. That is really cool because you can basically take that out, put it in another grip size, get a different slide, all kinds of different things. They are still coming out with more and more different options and colors and grip modules. The full size, I think, has 3 sizes right now, so you'll probably see similar things when it comes to the compact, both in size offerings and color. It is a compact design, so it's smaller, obviously, than the full size, both in barrel length and grip length. You will get a 15-round magazine and an 18-round magazine in the box, which is definitely cool. I do wish there were 3 magazines with this, but Springfield does do that like gear up thing a couple times a year where you get like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 extra mags when you buy the pistol. So if you time it right, that could be pretty cool. But it really has just about every single option you can actually ask for in a pistol by the modern standards. It's got a decent trigger, a direct to slide multi-optic cut. It's massive serrations on the front and the rear, full ambidextrous controls, great backup iron sights that are usable even with your red dot on there, at least most modern red dots anyways. Great grip texture, a thumb ledge on that takedown lever for recoil control. And overall, this is just an extremely well thought out pistol that absolutely runs like a champ. And since I know some of you need to see what that trigger is going to register on a gauge, let's take a good up close look at it. All right, let's take a good up close look at the Echelon here. And of course, do some trigger pulls. So this is how it's going to fit in the hand. I've got double XL gloved hands, so you can kind of see both with the magazine and without how that's going to fit and feel. A little bit of pinky overhang, but that is normal. And then you do actually get some very nice texture on the front of that mag base plate, which I wish all companies would do that on compact pistols, because if you've got larger hands, just adds a little bit more grip. And you also get that extended magazine, which will have texture, and of course the extended base pad, so you don't over insert that. But let's see what the trigger's like. Hold this super still for you. Minimal take up, very nice tactile wall, brakes, very little creep. Reset's good. Tactile could be a little bit louder on the reset, but overall not bad. So you guys can see, even just looking at it right there, overall pretty well done. If I do one super slow to kind of test the creep, there you go. So not bad at all for a striker trigger. It ain't 1911, but it's actually pretty good. So we'll do 3 pulls here on this one. And as long as I pull from the same place and don't do anything weird, we should have a pretty decent trigger pull here. 2.5 pounds. That was a little low on the trigger. So we'll pull a little higher up and see what we get this time. Try to get center line on there. Right about there. 5 pounds and 2 ounces. Feels like about a 4.5-ish to 5 pound trigger. We'll do one more kind of from the center here. All right, 2 pounds and 14 ounces. So any variation in that weight, I think you guys probably understand this by now, is usually dictated by how high or low you are on the trigger shoe, or how fast you pull that gauge. If you pull it real fast, sometimes you get a lower reading. But overall, the trigger is not only well done in the weight and the pull, but that like kind of flat, you know, slight curved, you know, it's just got that slight curve right there, but mostly flat design. The trigger shoe safety does go, you know, sub flush, and overall just a really great feel on it for a factory trigger. So is the Echelon compact, or the Echelon in general, actually any good? I quite like them. I think they did a great job with all of the design features in here. You've got about everything you can ask for. I've got, I think, 4 of them in the house right now. Several of my friends own them. Honest Outlaw tried to murder one out there. You can watch his video. He just brutalized that thing and it made it through, and many other pistols would not. So they did a good job both in functionality, reliability, and those design attributes we all want. Because of a lot of the stuff going on here is things you would have to turn to the aftermarket for. And you're getting these on a pistol for $650, which in the modern market is actually really good. Now again, since nobody gets a free pass on the channel, is there anything that I would actually change when it comes to the Echelon pistol? And since we already talked about the hang up issue, that gaper inside that pistol grip, that's numero uno, right? I think that needs to be filled up, or there needs to be some kind of filler plate or something you can put in there. There wasn't anything like that in my box that I got, and I haven't seen anything out there. If I'm wrong about that, please correct me in the comments, because I don't want to get anything wrong. Now, other things that I would possibly change. Let's think about this a little bit. Some people really love the more aggressive grip angle because it causes you to force your wrist, lock it out, and that can help you control recoil. My arms and wrists do not like that, okay? This tendon up through my bicep does not like being locked forward like that. So unfortunately, that's one thing that just doesn't work for me. I can run it, but it leaves me in pain. So I've had like severe distal bicep tendonitis to the point where it's like locking up my arm sometimes, and I can't even do reload drills. I'm trying to heal up, but I've just got to keep working, right? We've always got to keep grinding out there. So I do prefer a less aggressive angle. I've tried all the different back straps, but for like, you know, about right there seems good to me. And then I've got to dip down like that to really line the sights up. So aggressive angles aren't my favorite thing, but they work, and a lot of people out there love them. And if that's your thing, that is your thing. This is where it's kind of personal to me. The other thing that I would like to say is 3 magazines. I would just love to see every pistol come with 3 mags, especially when it's marketed as a duty or self-defense pistol. Again, they do that gear up thing a couple times a year. If you time it right, you get like 5 or 6 extra mags. But I think 3 in the box, especially for the modern price point, is a really good way to begin. If you want to give more, I would love to see that too, but 3 just needs to be the minimum number. Now I know it's going to be asked in the comments down below, would I actually carry something like the Echelon Compact or the full size on duty? I'm going to say absolutely 100% yes, I would. Even though the angles aren't my preference, I carried a Glock for many years too and did just fine with it out there. And I think this just has so many more options in the modern market that we want in pistols. And I just overall like it better than I do a factory Gen 5 Glock. And I use would if I was still there in like the past tense, because if you don't know, I'm no longer a police officer. I'm no longer a sergeant out there on the road doing things. I have left law enforcement for, let's just say, reasons. And we'll talk about those in another video another day. But if I were still on board, this would be one of my choices that I would look at if I was wanting to get into other than an issued Gen 5 Glock pistol. And if you are interested in anything you saw today, that build list will be linked down below. Make sure you get subbed up to the channel. Keep doing things out on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.